in, come on in, come on in. I hope you are having a fabulous start to the weekend. Welcome to Aries Rose TV. We got so much to catch up on. It's been a while since I have been live, so I'm looking forward to coming on and getting caught up with some of the good stuff that has been going on. So, what we're going to be talking about on today's show, we're going to be talking about the Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show that just took place yesterday. We're going to be talking about Cardi B and Stefon Diggs. As you know, he played in the Super Bowl yesterday with the Patriots, who pretty much got stomped out by the Seahawks. It was a pretty embarrassing Super Bowl game, if you ask me. But we're not going to be talking about the poor performance of the Patriots. Well, we're going to talk about it just a little bit. But we're talking about Cardi B and Stefon Diggs may be broken up and why they may be broken up. So we're going to talk about that. We also going to talk about GloRilla versus BroRilla. It's her sister that has come out making some comments about her, and so she got dubbed BroRilla. So we're going to talk about that little situation we got going on, and we're going to talk about Sherri Shepherd and Kelly Clarkson. They both have talk shows that are going to be canceled this year. And we're going to talk about a passing of Brad Arnold. He was the lead singer and founding member of Three Doors Down. So we got a lot to cover today, so stay tuned. And if you are not familiar with me, my name is Aries Rose, and welcome to Aries Rose TV. And here on this channel, we talk about movies, streaming shows, TV shows, world news, local news, politics, celebrity news, basically anything I find interesting. I come on, discuss with my Aries crew, and we're going to get into it. If you have not already done so, follow us on Instagram, Aries Rose TV. We post on the TV shows, movies that we watch, different pop culture things. So it's just another place to connect with us. And let's get into it. So it looks like Kelly Clarkson's show is going to be ending after this year, and she's not the only one whose show is going to be ending. Sherri Shepherd's show is going to be ending as well. And they're saying part of the reason why the show is ending is not necessarily ratings or because they don't believe in their talent, that the shows weren't doing well, but that the daytime TV landscape has changed. And I do believe that because I don't watch daytime talk TV in the days of it being dominated by like Oprah, Phil Donahue, Jerry Springer, Geraldo Rivera, Jenny, what's her name? Jenny Jones, Ricky Lake, all of those, that heyday is long gone. People just aren't watching TV like that. If you're watching TV at all, most of the time we're getting it from YouTube or you're watching it on social media. You're not necessarily watching TV or watching it live. You may be catching it later. So I'm not entirely surprised that these shows are being canceled because the audience isn't there anymore, and I'm sure the advertising dollars isn't there anymore. But if you watch Kelly Clarkson's show, let me know your thoughts on her show cancellation here. Let's kind of get into Sherri Shepherd's show being canceled. So I understand she had gotten renewed for a fourth season this year, but it's going to be ending in the fall of 2026, the Sherri Shepherd show. So a little background on this, Sherri Shepherd took over the show that was formerly run and was formerly called the Wendy Williams Show. So Wendy Williams had a very successful talk show on TV. It was produced by Debmar Mercury, and she was doing really, really well. I think she was 13, 14 seasons in, and then she had some personal challenges that ended up affecting her ability to continue on the show. She had some public situations with alcohol, and then her husband and her were going through a divorce because her husband had a child outside of their marriage, and her mom passed away, and she was really close to her mom. So Wendy had a lot of things that were going on, and they were just impacting her mental health and her ability to show up on that show like everybody was used to. And then from there, she took some time off, and the show had different guest hosts. And one of those guest hosts was Sherri Shepherd. And with her coming in, eventually it ended up becoming the Sherri Shepherd show. And they just kind of inserted her in to the YouTube following that Wendy Williams had built up, and on the social medias that were attached to Wendy Williams' show just ended up getting turned over into Sherri Shepherd to kind of help promote her show. So she kind of got a built-in audience both on TV and in social media from the work that Wendy Williams had put in. I personally didn't like that. If you needed to fill in somebody else in the show because Wendy could no longer do it, I totally understand that. I think Sherri should have just built it from the ground up. and had her own audience instead of taking over somebody else's audience, because people that liked Wendy followed that show because they liked Wendy. I personally stopped watching once it went over to Sherry, and that's no shade to her because I want her to do well. I don't want to see her out of a job, or the people on that show being impacted by not having a job. So there's no joy in that. But I do think in the way that you got the show, Sherry, and in some of the ways you were kind of coming at Wendy, it was just not a good look. And sometimes things come back to you, and that show cancellation may just be that. But you can always go on to social media. A lot of people are doing YouTube now, Patreon, different types of ways. Podcasts are huge to get your message out. So even if you're not on network TV, I'm sure she will land on her feet. But I do find that to be interesting that that show did not last as long as it did for Wendy. And I just think it's because the people who liked that show liked Wendy. Sherry Shepherd is not Wendy. She has her own delivery, and that's okay. But I bet if Wendy was still on TV and she was able to do it like she was doing it when she was at her peak, her show would still be on right now. She could easily have a run as long as Oprah. That's what I think. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you watch the Sherry Shepherd show or the Kelly Clarkson show? Do you even follow daytime TV like that? Very curious to know. As you come in, like the video. It's a free way to support the channel. It helps with the algorithm so we can get more eyes on here. If you like celebrity news, talking a little bit about everything, come on in. This is the channel for you. So the comment, can you move a little away from the actress? You can Google any person you want. There's so many pictures on there. That is Sherry Shepherd. If you want to see a clear photo of that, thanks for stopping by, and we're moving on. So we're going to talk about Brad Arnold. You may not know his name, but he was a part of Three Doors Down. He was a founding member of that band. It's a rock group. They got founded in 1996, and they came out late 90s, early 2000s. Definitely remember this group. I'm not a huge rock music person at all, but this band, this music at that time, back in those days, on the radio, you got exposed to all different types of music. So even if it wasn't your particular genre, you could go around on stations. You're going to hear different things. If you have a mix of friends, your friends are going to like different types of music, and that's how I got exposed to them. And I like the band. I didn't go out to any of their concerts and stuff, but I did enjoy their music. One of my favorite songs was Kryptonite, and he wrote that song while he was sitting in math class. So I thought that was pretty cool. You know, you weren't picking up math, but hey, you did do something that ended up making you millions of dollars. His music's gonna live forever. That is just timeless. It spoke to a whole generation. It was the soundtrack to my young adulthood. Definitely got memories associated with that, and may he rest in peace. He was only 47 years old, and Dad recently, last May, had been diagnosed with a form of kidney cancer, and that ended up metastasizing into his lungs and turning into stage 4 cancer. So passed away last Saturday, surrounded by his wife, loved ones, family, friends, maybe even potentially some bandmates. But the band issued out the statement of his passing. Very sad to hear about a lot of people from that time passing away at young ages, not reaching 50 or not reaching 60 from health issues or substance type of accidental overdoses. Just really, really sad to see that people aren't getting to reach an older age for things that may or may not have been preventable, not always necessarily in cancer. That's more of a timing issue of when you do catch it. But very sad. Let me know if you are familiar with Three Doors Down, what your favorite song is from the group. Let's keep that conversation going here in the comments. And let's move on here to GloRilla. So she and her sister, who they are calling BroRilla, have recently had a little thing going on social media against each other. So we got to talk about that a little bit. While I'm doing so, I'm going to take a quick drink here, and let me know in the comments, did you watch the Super Bowl halftime show yesterday, and what did you think? We're going to be talking about that Bad Bunny show here coming up a little bit later. Let me know your thoughts on that here. Give you a minute. All right. So let's get into GloRilla. So she came out maybe what, a couple years ago. She got on my radar here, and she is a rapper, had a pretty good, or has a pretty good career. She's got a nice reputation. I really Don't hear too many people saying too much negativity about her. She seems like a very sweet girl, proud of her success. She comes from Memphis, Tennessee, I believe. And I'm glad that she was able to make something with her life and is doing something that's helping her to grow and to basically have a career and a name out there that she may not have had she not propelled herself, kept doing hard work to make a name for herself in music. But the challenging part is sometimes when one makes it, others may feel like it's your responsibility to look out for us as well because we are family. So if you're successful, that means that I should be successful. And it looks like GloRilla is experiencing that family dichotomy here because her sister, who they have dubbed BroRilla, came out and said basically she's doing good. That she called her Gloria, I believe. She said that Gloria is doing good, but the family is broke. That she don't really take care of them. That their mom has to still clock in at FedEx, I believe. She said is where she works, and that she don't really be looking out for them like that. But she talks about their struggle, like she wants to take it on and talk about it, but she's not really doing anything to help them out. And it kind of sparked a discussion of whether or not you are responsible for taking care of your family if you become successful. Are you responsible for making sure that they're good, or are they responsible for going out and taking care of themselves? And that was an interesting discussion because it comes up a lot, especially in the Black community, that if somebody becomes super successful, is it your job to take care of your mom, your dad, your siblings, anybody who didn't quite reach the same success level as you or doesn't have the same amount of money as you? Is that your responsibility to take care of them? I think that's an interesting discussion, and I definitely want to know your thoughts on it. For me, I think it is. If I had it like that, and I don't know what kind of money GloRilla has, I don't know her bank account, I don't know what she owes, I don't know her money like that. But if I had it like that and what I perceive that she has, if I have money, my parents have money. I would not let my mom work at no FedEx if I was a millionaire or even 100,000aire. If I had two, 300, 400, 500,000, $600,000 that I had, my parents would not be working at no FedEx, clocking in on that type of job. That's just how I feel. Good, bad, or ugly. I feel like if I got it, my parents got it. I cannot live with my parents being in poverty or uncomfortable or having to clock in for a minimal amount of money, barely scratching by, and I'm doing okay. So my feeling is if I'm eating lobster, they're eating lobster too. I can't have you just eating anything to make a point or because you didn't earn it. But that's okay if she feels differently. For me, I think they said GloRilla has like 9 siblings, so she's one of 10. That could be, I understand you probably can't personally support everybody like as if they had a job and give them 30, 40, $50,000 a year just because they're your sibling. I understand that. That's probably not reasonable. I have less siblings than that. So for me, again, if I got it, I would not mind sharing it with them. Now, I'm not going to go broke to take care of you. I love them, but I'm not going to be out on the street with me and mine to make sure you have something. But if I can help you, I'm definitely going to help you. But I really want to know what you guys think. Do you think it's fair? Do you think that her sister should have kept that behind closed doors? Do you think it is your responsibility, or you got to get it how you get it? If I get successful, you got to figure it out the way that I did. Really want to know what you think. Let's keep that conversation going here. And now we're going to come on over to Bad Bunny. He did a performance here at the Super Bowl halftime show. So it caused a whole lot of controversy because, naturally President Trump had something to say because Bad Bunny's been pretty outspoken about how he feels about ICE, and he has a primarily Spanish speaking audience, I'm sure, because I'm personally not familiar with his music. But I know that he is big, and I know that there is a segment of the population that loves his music, that really likes him, and that was excited for him to be in the halftime show. And I was looking forward to seeing the halftime show as well. I knew I wasn't going to recognize any of the music, but I just wanted to see what are you going to do? What's the performance going to be? And I was pretty happy. I have to say I was not upset with anything that I saw in the show. Now, President Trump had some stuff to say, which we are going to get into what comments he had to say about the show because, he's always got something to say. So we got to see how he felt about it. But I was pretty happy. I didn't 100% understand what was being said. I didn't know a single song he performed up there, but I was shimmying. I was feeling it. I was getting my little dance on. I was not mad at it. I enjoyed the whole thing. I was happy with the scenery. He had some surprise people show up there. Maybe not such a surprise because we kind of knew, because I was hearing talks that Cardi B might be in it, and she was. She did a surprise appearance. She didn't sing or anything, but she was back there, and she definitely had some screen time, so we knew she was there. And then Ricky Martin, who is huge Boricua. He big in the late 90s. He came out with the Latin Explosion along with Jennifer Lopez. Now, Jennifer Lopez wasn't there, but Ricky Martin got big around that time with La Vida Loca. And he was also in Menudo, which was a group he did, I want to say like in the 80s as well. So he's been very well known in the Latin community. So it was really cool to see him out there. And then you had Lady Gaga, who performed a song. It was in English, and she did If the World Was Ending, I Want to Be Next to You, which I believe is the Bruno Mars song. But she did it kind of like with a salsa twist. So beautiful. I liked it. She did a great job. Perfect addition. I was surprised to see her there. That was not somebody I expected him to bring out. So that was nice. Surprise. There was also, I wrote, who else showed up in addition to Ricky Martin and Cardi B. There was a guest appearance by, oh, nope, that was it. Lady Gaga, Cardi B, and Ricky Martin were the ones that I noticed. Let me know who your favorite surprise guest was, or favorite part of the Super Bowl show was, or song. If you had a particular song that you know from Bad Bunny, did he perform a song you wanted to hear? What did you think of the show? Let me know. Let's get into the comments President Trump had on it. There was also a halftime show that TPUSA did, and I heard them. It had some Christian rock and Kid Rock performed in there as well. I didn't watch the TPUSA one, but if you decided to watch that instead of the Super Bowl, let me know. Let me know if you liked it. I didn't watch that at all or look up anything on it. I heard people tuned into it. They say they tuned into it, but I don't know if people liked it or not. I did hear that Bad Bunny's performance is now the most watched Super Bowl performance. So before it was Kendrick Lamar, and I think it was like 135 or 136 million Kendrick Lamar got. And now they say Bad Bunny exceeded that to get the most. So clearly, there's a huge segment of the population, and there are a lot of Spanish speaking countries and a lot of Spanish speaking people. So the NFL likes money, and eyes on the Super Bowl equals money. So I am not surprised that they were going to branch out, because there's just going to be a wide audience there that's going to be engaged, that's going to want to watch and tune in. And so, kudos to the NFL for doing something different, and to acknowledge that there is a huge population here in America that speaks Spanish, that is into Spanish speaking music, and acknowledge that is very much so part of this culture. Even if you don't speak Spanish, we are exposed to it quite a bit here, in some places more than others, but we do have exposure here in this country to that. So it wasn't that far-fetched. And Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, so it is a part of the United States. So they are considered American for all intents and purposes. But the Seahawks did win. Yes, we know that. It was very unfortunate how poorly the Patriots played. That was pretty embarrassing. That was one of those moments where I said, "Ooh, I cannot be a coach, because my team cannot perform this bad." We would have a not so pleasant locker room discussion after that performance. I would love to have been a fly on the wall to hear what their coach had to say about that. I'm glad you liked Bad Bunny and Lady Gaga. I thought everybody did good. I was happy with the show. I watched it and would watch it again. I have no complaints. But I want to hear what the commander in chief had to say about it. So let me get this up to see the comments. President Trump had this hat on, and this is from TMZ. President Trump gave his review of Bad Bunny's Super Bowl, I want to say Super Bowl 60 halftime performance, and as you probably guessed, 47 panned the HE double hockey sticks out of it. Trump posted a long critique on his Truth Social platform, kicking things off by saying Bunny's show which the Puerto Rican entertainer sang in Spanish was, quote, absolutely terrible and one of the worst ever, end quote. The commander-in-chief also said Bunny's show did not make any sense because nobody could understand a single word he was saying. What's more, Trump said the performance overall didn't represent American standards of success, creativity, or excellence. Trump continued to rant about Bunny, wrapping up his review by calling the show a slap in the face to our country, even though Puerto Rico is a part of the country. So, okay. And very interesting. But I'm not surprised because they were already talking, he was already talking about the performance before he even did the Super Bowl show, and he was already knocking it before that even happened. So I'm not entirely surprised he wasn't going to give it a chance and had a lot of negativity on it. Who did have some negativity about this that completely surprised me was Logan Paul, and he had something to say about this Bad Bunny. He has something to say about this Bad Bunny Super Bowl performance here. And let's see. So Jake Paul, this is what he wrote on X, and I'm getting this from TMZ. They got a screenshot. And Jake Paul says, quote, purposefully turning off the halftime show. Let's rally together and show big corporations they can't just do whatever they want without consequences, which equals viewership for them. You are their benefit. Realize you have power. Turn off this halftime, a fake American, end quote. Now, this is from Jake Paul. And his brother Logan Paul responded on X, quote, I love my brother, but I don't agree with this. Puerto Ricans are Americans, and I'm happy they were given the opportunity to showcase the talent that comes from the island, end quote. And both Logan brothers do live in Puerto Rico. So I find that interesting that he said that, but he did come back and clarify that he meant Logan Paul, not Logan, Jake Paul came back and clarified that he meant fake American because he had Bad Bunny had allegedly said some negative stuff about America. So that was in the context that he was meaning, not in the fact he was a fake American because he's Puerto Rican. I don't know, but that's what he says. But interesting, I didn't think that they'd have too much to say about that, but they decided to make a statement on it. So we'll see if anything else rolls out from that. But let me know about your thoughts on the Bad Bunny Super Bowl show here in the comments. And now we're going to move on to our next one here. So we got Cardi B and Stefon Diggs. So they have unfollowed each other after the Super Bowl, and there's just some chatter that they may no longer be together. So Cardi B went to the Super Bowl, and I'm hearing rumors that she spent 1.2 million on the Super Bowl. So she spent it with like inviting people to come out, paying for plane tickets, paying for the food, paying for the alcohol that was in the suite, paying for the suite, paying for tickets to get to the game, and probably all other things in between. And so altogether, allegedly, she spent about 1.2 million on this. And as you know, she was really flashing about how in love and how happy she is with Stefon Diggs. Now, you know, some of us were kind of looking like, you just got out of and you're not even fully divorced yet from Offset. And that was a, challenging relationship due to potential outside situations that were going on, maybe on both sides, definitely on one side. And that movement over to another person before you have fully healed and kind of come to an understanding about one relationship that's ending kind of puts you in a tricky spot, because I think you do transference. I'm not a psychologist, but I am a human who has done the same thing as her, that you end up, you get out of something bad and you just kind of want to get away from it, and then you end up with somebody else, but you haven't really fully dealt with what wasn't good about the last one. You just transfer over and you kind of hang on to another person, and your hormones are going in all different levels when you just had a child, and then you're having, you're pregnant again, and so your hormones kind of spike, go up and down, and then you're delivering, and you still takes a while before that kind of balances out. So you have a lot of intense emotions and a lot of feelings and things that end up happening when you're in that state. You don't always, I think, make the clearest decisions. And you can say that, I can say that because I'm a mom who's had 3 kids myself. So I know those are tough times, and you go through a lot of things that you may not feel as strongly when you're not pregnant. Your hormones are a little bit more balanced on there. So I thought it was a little questionable, but hey, she's in love. You like it. I love it. And then, within a couple months of them getting together, she announces that she is pregnant. And then she has her baby in November. And comes December, we're hearing that he's got 3 other kids potentially that were born, at least 2 more that were born in 2025 as well, which meant, he was a busy healer, probably trying to heal many women that just all conveniently had children, within a couple months of each other. I don't know if that's happiness, yes, Pink, if my man has had 3 other kids in the same year that we share a child together. I don't know if I'd call that happiness, but if that works for her, that works for her. But I don't know if that's working for her anymore, because they say that she and Stefon may not be together because allegedly he had a woman named Pre there who had previously been maybe allegedly a mistress to Offset, who we know is still her estranged husband, who Cardi B is not fully divorced from yet. So allegedly this woman was there right up on the field, being able to watch the game, and had allegedly been a part of the pregame stuff that's for family and friends. And she was with Stefon's mom and brothers. That's kind of odd, but to each their own, allegedly. And Tasha K was talking about this on her show, that Pre and Stefon Diggs are like best friends, and they have been close before he even started dating Cardi. But I find that interesting that he had her there if you're supposed to be with Cardi, and you know that this woman has history with your woman's estranged husband. This is some weird stuff, but this is what we're talking about right now. And then you had another woman there who has a son by, who I guess goes by Kiki, who is the Kiki that's known in that song that what's his name, Drake did. And she has a child that she shares with Stefon Diggs, and I guess she was allegedly at the game as well. Kind of not surprised though, because if you share kids together, you want your child to be there at the game, and it's a baby, so the kid's not going to come by itself. So the mom has to be there. So it's not surprising, but I still find it interesting if he's supposed to be with you, Cardi, that he's still having all of these other ladies there. So I guess they say, some of that may have upset her that she spent all this money, and then he's got these ladies here kind of getting paraded around maybe, or being able to show up in spaces that should just be reserved for her. So let's get into this. Some say you kind of knew what you were getting into when he's got a reputation. They say Stefon Diggs has a reputation, and judging by how many kids he had in 1 year, I think that pretty much stands on its own. And there's no hating here, because I love kids. Have as many as you want, as long as you can afford them and you can take care of them. Do whatever makes you happy. But I do have to say, I wouldn't be running to a guy who had multiple kids in the same year with different women. That's just not, I'm not going in that direction. That's not for me, because that's got its own head of that's going to be a head of issues one day, that I don't want none of that. So for me, I'm going the other way. But if she wants to lean in even harder, more power to you. So let's get into what they're talking about on TMZ for this potential split that may be occurring. So per TMZ, Cardi B and Stefon Diggs could be dealing with some trouble in paradise. At least that's what fans think, after the two unfollowed each other on Instagram. It's kind of wild that we're using Instagram follows or unfollows to determine a relationship, but sometimes there is something to that. So, maybe we are getting into that territory where things may not be as good. But they got some screenshots showing that neither one of them are showing up. Take care, Yaz Pink 12. Thank you for stopping by. As they got some screenshots showing that neither one is following the other by pulling up their names when they go on the friends list for either page on Stefon's or Cardi's page. And back into this from TMZ. Of course, this comes on the heels of Diggs and the New England Patriots Super Bowl loss to the Seattle Seahawks. It was a terrible loss. They got spanked. Eagle Eye fans were quick to notice the unfollowing, and we checked for ourselves. It's legit. That said, it's unclear whether the unfollowing happened before or after the tough loss. The potential split is sending shockwaves online. Not only does it follow Stefon's disappointing defeat, but it also comes just a few months after the couple welcomed a baby boy in November 2025. Something did go down. It appears to be recent. Cardi had been a ride or die throughout the Pat Super Bowl run, regularly at games, probably backing her man on social media. However, she didn't seem too enthusiastic about Stefon on Saturday night when an ESPN reporter asked if she had an inspiring message for him, and she bluntly replied, "Good luck." Cardi made a subtle appearance during Bad Bunny's halftime show performance on Sunday night. We reached out to a rep for Cardi. So far, no word back. And of course, we will be keeping an eye out on this story. So to make sure that you don't miss out on any updates, follow Aries Rose TV. All you got to do is hit that subscription button. We'd love to have you a part of the Aries crew. We have fun over here. Then hit that notification bell and select all so you can find out every time I go live, post videos, post shorts, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be on live later on today. We're going to chop this up and do some shorts and do some smaller videos. So if you don't have enough time to watch this all the way through, we will have this so you can catch these different stories that you are interested in. Thank you for watching. Appreciate all the support. We're on a road to 2,000 subscribers. Share this live out to help us get some more eyes and grow the channel. Great rest of your day, and we'll see you later. Thanks for watching.